There's a stretch of land between Charleston and Savannah where the tides move slow, but the stories run deep. They call it the Lowcountry, and this is Lowcountry Unscripted. We're not here for headlines. We're here for heart, for the fishermen and the founders, the chefs, the hustlers, the hometown heroes, the people who make this region more than just a postcard. It's voices from the docks, the dirt roads, the dive bars, and the back porches where truth gets told. No filters, no edits, no bull, just raw Southern stories told straight up. This is the real Lowcountry, and these are its people. Lowcountry Unscripted, stories that built the Lowcountry, powered by Coastal Solutions Media. Broadcasting from the Coastal Solutions Media Studios in Hardyville, South Carolina, here are your hosts, Brian and Gina Pierce.
Hey, Lowcountry. Welcome to Lowcountry's Unscripted Stories that built the Lowcountry. My name is Brian. To my left, you know her now. Her name's Gina. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome.
Boy, we've got a good one for you today. I went to the networking meeting this morning, and the first guy's like, what are you doing today? 1 o'clock. We have Charles Davis here from Edge Home Finance. He's also our education coordinator, and he is awesome at it. He's going to explain to you guys how the reverse mortgage works today. And let me tell you, there's not many people you can put your stamp on. I can put my stamp. You've heard it before. You hear it again. I can put my stamp on Charles because I know he will take care of you, your friends, your family, just like they were his own. That I know because I've heard it, I've experienced it, and now you're going to experience it right here on this podcast. So thanks for joining us. Babe, you got anything you want to say?
I am so excited that you're here, Charles. I've asked Brian multiple times. I'm like, hey,
is Charles coming?
Charles,
you were on our
Where's
top 5, yeah.
Yep.
And I didn't think we would ever get a commit from Shelly and Gary, but apparently, yeah.
I think everybody in that room is probably going to say they want to be on our. They're a little shy. A few of them said that they were like, well, I don't know if I want to be on video, and I'm like, it's okay.
Oh, it's a piece of cake.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're gonna forget it's even there in a little bit.
Yeah, I've actually been meaning to do one of my education moments on public speaking because I had any number of people come up and say, I just hate talking. I hate doing my 10-minute presentation. I hate doing 60 seconds. I'm like, why? You do it all the time.
Right.
Well, I don't want to talk to other people. I'm like, why? It's not that hard.
No.
It's like you just got to just step half a step behind yourself, and then it's easy peasy. I've got a great story about why I'm actually pretty good at public speaking now.
Yeah, I want to hear that.
Definitely.
So you want me to tell it now?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
We're unscripted.
You're gonna public speak now. These people are going to hear
All
it.
right, fair enough. So a number of years ago, I ran for a city council out in Lakewood, Colorado, and didn't really know what I was getting myself into other than that I wanted to help the community, and because I love the community, love the people, and there was a lot of stuff going down that was not good for the community and malfeasance and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So I was always getting invites to go to things and talk to people and campaign-ish type events, and got invited to this thing that was a picnic. It was, come out to our picnic. All right. So I went out to the picnic, and it happened to be at Jefferson County Fairgrounds in Lakewood, Colorado, which is a big place. And so I'm driving around trying to figure out where this thing is, and walk in and get to the back. And I walk into this room with, no kid you, 5,000 people in it. And they're like, who are you?
That's a big room.
A big room.
That's a big room.
Like, hey, I'm Charles Davis, here. Oh, great. You're talking in about 10 minutes. I'm like, I'm doing what now?
What?
You signed me up for what?
I'm speaking. Yeah. Did anybody tell you? No. It's like, yeah, 3 minutes talking whatever you want. It'll be fine. And like, and of course my inner scaredy cat child went, this is not going to be fine.
Yeah, this is not going to work. Was that your first experience? It wasn't your first experience.
It was my first time talking to a group, but it was first time talking to multi-thousand people.
Your first group of them.
Yeah, first giant group of people.
Wow.
And it was actually on a stage that had, steps going up to it. So it was like, 3 or 4 feet above everybody, and you were at the front of the room. And so you came up and started talking, and they introduced me, and I got up there and like, well, I don't really know what to talk about here, people. My name is Charles, and I just kind of went with it and just looked over the top of everyone. Because the beautiful thing when you're above people, they can't tell you're not looking at them.
Yep.
So I just looked over the top up to the back. There was
and it was
both
dark
side tables. Yeah, and it was just me just talking. I think I talked about homelessness, and there was one of the people putting it on was a local Jefferson support group for homelessness in Western Denver metro area. And so I talked about that and talked about my mom and the issues she had with it, and just told the story for 3 minutes. And then I was done, and they all clapped, and I left, and they were like, "That was really good. How'd you do that?" I'm like, "How'd I do what?"
Like, I blacked out.
Yeah, seriously. And then, so another funny story, when I ran for city council, I was given another minute to opportunity to talk, and this was during COVID. So there was a virtual presentation. Got up there, and I was all logged in, had a script, and everything was all set. And boom, lightning strike, power went out in my house. And so so all my script was on my computer. Everything was gone. Everything was off. And so grabbed my phone, picked up my phone.
Time to wing it.
Zoomed in over my phone.
Yeah.
And connected up, and then just winged it for 5 minutes.
Awesome.
And I actually got a call from the mayor and one of the people who were in the U.S. House of Representatives after that and said, "What do you mean you winged that?" Because I told him, I said, everything was on the computer, it's gone, so I'm just going to have to wing this and talk about what I think the concerns are in the community. And so I talked for 5 minutes about the concerns, and literally they called me and said, how'd you do that? I'm like, when you know what you're talking about, it's pretty easy to talk about stuff.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This is why he's so good at that education moment, is because I think he just does it in the car on the way.
And you're really good at like keeping people's focal point, at least like engaged in it, because, you know, most people would probably just zone out. And if someone's not good at
how
it,
many minutes is there a time? I know that BNI's got time. Is there a time limit to that?
So we're supposed to do somewhere around 3 to 5 minutes is what the guidance is.
Oh, you've got that nailed.
Yeah, but it's really not. And yes, I totally make it up the morning or as I'm driving in.
I figured. Now that I know this, I mean, I couldn't do that.
And
I got to think about it.
There's been a few times. Well, I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, somebody had come up and talked to me before a meeting about an issue they were having, and up on the screen is when you were presenting. And there was a screen that said no signal, no input, wait patiently, something like that. Right? I can't remember what it was. And so I just talked about that. It's like, you don't want to leave.
The one that comes up on this screen right here that was up there.
Yeah. And that was just totally winging it. And after I got done with it, the guy who had the issue came over and said that was incredible. It's like, that was exactly perfect what the group needed to hear.
I think Charles, he's come in too. He's like, "Hey, I called an audible when I walked in the door." He's like, "Is it okay if I talk about you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And I said, "That'd be great." Yeah. So I hear we hear a lot of good, fantastic testimonials about you around the community and such. Tell the Lowcountry, what is there one single thing, or what do you devote your success to?
Just being honest. Know what you're talking about and be honest with people. And know what you don't know. And that's probably the biggest thing that I found is I tell people all the time, "I'm not sure. Let me find out for you." Mm-hmm. And then you go and find out the actual answer. And then you call them back and tell them, "Here's the thing. Here's what I found out. Here's the detail." Follow up. But that's the biggest thing. Communicate, be honest, and know your limitations and know how to find answers when you don't know the answer off the top of your head. Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing worse than just making stuff up and then having it be wrong. I make stuff up sometime, but it's usually right.
Yeah.
It seems like your integrity's in the right place.
That's 100%. That's what it's about. And that's what BNI is about, right? BNI is just about, know in your heart that this group of people that you're going to see every week, that you have no concerns with them using your services.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, if you don't provide a level of service that you're talking about every week to the people that you're meeting with every week,
they're going to know.
They're going to know really quickly.
Yeah, they're going to lose trust in you quick.
They'll lose it.
I noticed that it takes when I was new in there, and of course I've not been in a group before, it takes somebody to give you a genuine testimonial for the rest to open up. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
They're very closed in, and they're like, "Well, we'll see what this guy does," and they do. And we're just fortunate. We've got awesome people in our group, like we just do.
I didn't know what to expect when I went in there. I was like, "So you guys are just going to talk about your businesses, and that's cool and everything." And you're like, "Yeah, you're going to talk about my business." I'm like, "What?"
No better time than to throw you into the fire.
I was just like, they're probably like, "Who is this girl in the crazy pants?" Walk it up here, and I winged it too. I was just like, "So
It's the way I
Look
did
at
it
my
when I was
phone.
with horses. My parents were just like, well, I mean, we're just going to go let them talk to these people. And, they're millionaires. And I was a kid that would just run his mouth and wanted to know everything about horses. And but it worked out well.
Well, I feel
Met
like
some
we
pretty cool people.
kind of have like a older generation mindset because of our parents. And I mean, my grandparents had a lot to do with that. There's different generational gaps that people, I think, have.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing.
connect
The
with
phone is
older
one.
people.
I wish that people would still pick up the phone and call somebody. And that particular action, I feel, has been lost by our society.
100%. I mean, I honestly can't tell you how much business I've gotten. It's because I answer my phone.
Yep.
You answer your phone. Phone rings, you answer it. And you say, hey, I'm in a meeting right now. I'm sorry, can I call you back? Matter of fact, literally just today, I'm standing in my office. I have a standing desk, so I don't really sit down ever. Guy calls me out of the blue, tells me his name, kind of goes in this dissertation, tells he's from a mortgage company. So I'm assuming he's a recruiter because I get a lot of recruiting calls. Because I'm in the top % of all lenders nationwide, so people want me to be on their team. So my man goes there. So I kind of get into a little bit of not a defensive mode, but I'm not going to share a lot. And then he tells me a story. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. Tell me more. So he's up in Maryland. His dad is buying a house down in the Lowcountry. And I am the second largest producer in the area, mortgage producer in the area. And
In this area?
In this area, yeah.
Wow.
He found me on one of the internal systems we can all use to track lenders and how good they are. So he just calls me and, answers the phone and said, we just start talking. He goes, to be honest with you, I'm looking for a great lender for my dad. He's moving down there. The people he's talked to, he doesn't get a good vibe from. I referred him to somebody. That person didn't call him back. Just texted him a link to his application page, and that was it. And the guy asked me, it's like, would you be interested in talking to my dad? Well, absolutely. Like,
Sure.
Oh, what do you need to know about him? I don't need to know anything about him. I guess a phone number.
You don't need his email address?
I don't need anything. Just, so he sent an email and introducing both of us. And I said, hey, just let me know, when you have some time to chat. I'm happy to see how I could be a resource for you. We're talking, this afternoon. And it's like, you're 100%. It's a lost art. It's that face-to-face customer service, that touchy-feely. It's the small bookstore, right? It's the small record store that we all have stories from in our past, right? Where we go in and just sit and read a book.
Yep.
They didn't care. They just like that you're in there and sharing what they enjoy.
And COVID made it way worse.
Yeah.
Way worse. But people don't want any human interaction now. They got you get used to shopping online, not going to the store.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was a truck driver. I mean, they wouldn't let us in the building. So we felt like we were ousted and we were, what would they call those? Essential employees?
Essential
You're
worker.
essential.
Yeah,
workers.
essential workers. It was misery. You couldn't use their restrooms. They didn't want you anywhere near it.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we do, truck drivers are probably, we go in so many public places that are they're not great.
Yeah.
They're just not great.
No.
They're for every one Buc-ee's there is 4,000 opposite worlds of Buc-ee's.
I like how we talk about Buc-ee's in every episode. It's true. Those bathrooms are amazing there, but not everywhere.
I've never been in a Buc-ee's.
Oh, that's two.
We are going to take you, Charles.
See, I have electric cars, and most of them don't have chargers. So,
But it's only at exit 8. So we literally just have to go right down the street and come back.
Do you have a Tesla?
No, I drive a Hyundai Ioniq 5. We used to own a Tesla.
Nice.
We had a Tesla Model S, 2015 Model S that we got rid of last fall. The main reason we got rid of it is that my wife drove out here from Colorado with the Tesla, and they had what I believe was happening is Tesla was throttling the charging speed because of her car. They've been trying to get her to upgrade because when she got her car, it came with unlimited free charging for life. Mm-hmm. And they kept pushing harder and harder for her to go get a new car so we can take this away from you.
They eliminated it,
yeah. So she didn't. So when she drove out here, it did not charge very fast. My car will charge from 10 to 80% in about 15 minutes. Her car,
on a supercharger.
Yeah, on a high-speed charger. Well, the Tesla supercharger network is actually not a very fast charging network. People think it's the fastest charging network because it's named Supercharger.
Yeah.
But the actual fastest charging network is Rivian and Electrify America. I
was hoping you were going to say you had a Rivian because I've never seen one.
Yeah. No.
Oh, I see them all the time. At the
I see them,
resorts.
but I've never seen like the inside of one. I heard they're really nice.
Have you seen the Amazon Rivians driving around? The new
I have,
Amazon
yeah.
electric trucks? Yeah.
Yeah, I had one in the driveway last night.
Super nice. They're so cool. But yeah, my car charges super fast. But when she was driving out, it was an hour for her to stop and charge. And my car charges in 15 minutes.
You're like, see ya.
Yeah, plug in, go to the bathroom, go get a soda, walk out of the car. Off you go. Boom.
Done.
Easy peasy.
I wonder why it takes the Tesla. I figured he'd have that figured out.
We used to want one, and then we were like,
I still want an electric vehicle.
I don't. Give me all the gas and fossil fuels. That's going to make me sound bad. No, I just want a G-Wagon because my name is Gina,
yeah.
and I want a G-Wagon.
It's a dream.
It's a dream, a pipe dream, but I want
They'll
one.
probably have that in an electric version. Come, I'd say a year.
I don't-
Everything's
Are you a
going that way.
Leadfoot? Do you drive somewhat fun, excited, and aggressively?
Around here, you kind of have to, but I find you can't really go super fast. Now, according to some, I get speeding tickets all the time.
Yeah.
It's not true.
That was
It's
on the last
definitely
podcast. I said, I don't
untrue.
know if I think you got 2 on the way up there, but
No, it was one. For everyone listening, it was
they
one.
must have been good ones then. You must have really got your money's
That one in
worth.
Virginia, I mean, I had turned my cruise control off and I was going through a very foggy, hilly area and I had turned my cruise control off. So I wasn't looking at the speed. I was looking to make sure I didn't go off the road. And he understood why he caught me at the bottom of a hill. And I was like, really? My son is asleep in the back.
They're bad in Virginia. It's just Commonwealth state.
And I was like, I'm not going to drive back here, so I guess I'm going to pay the $350
Yeah,
it
the
was
fines
for a
are cheap
ticket.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah, their fines are cheap.
At least they
Beaufort
didn't-
was just as annoying.
in Kansas, you get a speeding ticket, they take a kidney. So just be glad you weren't.
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
New York too. That's where we're from.
Oh
It
my
was
God,
like
New York.
57 and a 55 was $650, and that was 98. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they would pull you over for it. 55 is our state speed limit, and now it's not anymore. I think they moved it to 65 in New York.
Certain roads, I think, are still 55. But
Yeah.
it's forever under construction anyway, the major highways and stuff up
There's
there.
so many potholes. Well, in Colorado, I'm sure
Yeah.
it's just as bad, if not worse.
Yeah.
Probably worse.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's
So-
pretty bad.
Charles, if you were not doing mortgages and things of that nature, financial stuff, what would you be doing as a career?
Well, so that's an interesting question. So my background
good one.
is I actually have a degree in architecture, professional degree in architecture. I got that in 93, graduated, and during a recession, I had all intention of going into architecture world because I
Sure.
really liked it. During a recession, the only places that were hiring junior architects were in Minneapolis or Chicago. I didn't want to live in either one of those locations.
Yeah.
So I started branching out. I actually ended up applying and interviewing for a job in Kansas City with the city of Kansas City for their in their urban planning department. They were at that time remapping everything into the GIS system. So they were hiring people to basically scan maps and GIS them and put them into electronic systems.
Yep.
And I would have been perfect. It would have been great. But because of the recession, they had a hiring freeze, and the state had a rule that if you're being hired out of state, the state had to pay for your moving expenses. And even though literally everything I own would fit in my 1991 Nissan Sentra, they didn't care. They couldn't hire me from out of state because they would have had to pay $24 in gas for me to get down here. That was their rule.
How
Oh,
dare
$24.
Yeah, and so
Back
I'm
in
like,
the
you
day.
don't need to worry about it. I mean, I'll write you an invoice for $0, and you can. It's like, no, it
just
doesn't work.
just
that
let
way.
me move here. Yeah.
So I didn't get that, which is unfortunate. But I was their top pick. But ended up branching out and looking into graphic design. Got a couple offers for graphic design shops, but they didn't have any benefits. And I thought, young kid
That's
getting
hard-
out of
hard-
college,
hard to do.
I probably need to, have some sort of health care or something in case I stub. Plus, I rode my bike a lot on public streets and whatnot. So
I can tell you
helmet.
you must have an extreme amount of creativity, a lot of things going on.
my brain never stops.
Mine too, mine's we know.
Yeah, it's a concern. There's always something.
It's a very big concern.
Anyway, I ended up getting a job at a software company in West Des Moines, Iowa, because I knew the software inside and out. I could literally, in their help desk, there's online support, their phone support. Got a job there, started one day. 3 days later, I was on the phones. I didn't have to learn. They didn't have to train me anything other than have to use the damn phone system, hit the right buttons, because that was an old phone system.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so I went from being the juniorest person there to the top support person in like 4 months because I just knew everything about the software.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the software?
So the company was called CE Software, and the software was a specialty product called Quick Keys, which was an automation software, one of the earliest automation tools that you had, where you could script the computer to do stuff for you automatically. Like you could hit one keystroke, and it would do
all of
80
it?
steps of normal computer stuff. Go here, print this, file this, do all this stuff. And I wrote up all these fun routines. I actually sold a bunch of them on AOL way back in the day to do math because they didn't have a routine to do math. And of course, when I first started there, I went to the developer. His name was Simeon Leifer. Super nice dude. Smartest guy I ever met in my life. Oh my God. Just, you could tell him like, why can't we do this? And like in 2 days, he'd have a prototype. And so I went to him when I started there and said, why can't we do this? And 3 days later, he had something written up and he got it through QA and it was off. But it was, it couldn't do math. And a lot of people would call in and say, hey, I need something to automate this. And I need, if the answer is this, do that, and this, do that. So I wrote all these routines where I would just cheat. I would have the system go to the calculator, do the math on the calculator, pull it out, go paste it on a text file, go back and do this, go back and forth, and then figure out do all this stuff. And they're just amazed. Like, how do you do this? It's like, well, the client needs it. It needs to be done. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's working smart.
Yeah.
You know, he does that. You can tell.
It's crazy.
Easy.
That I figured that your brain was like ever presently moving all the time. Pretty cool. Just didn't realize that like you have so many different levels of your brain.
Can you tell when you live with somebody, when you're around somebody else? I don't know. I wouldn't know. Can
What?
you? Like you're around me, my wheels turn all the time.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you are around somebody else, is there an energy?
Usually, yeah, you can tell by the way they talk and just how, like, okay, we live in the Lowcountry. We're all not originally from here. They move a bit slower sometimes.
The
down
slow
here.
country.
It is the slower country. People, I had found I had to slow down when I was talking when I first moved here because I was like rapid fire talking all the time.
Yeah, they
and
don't
didn't-
understand you.
They're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Slow down. And I'm like, oh.
One
Am I
more
talking
time.
fast? Now I feel like I talk way too slow, but
You get used to it.
but
You had
then-
a twang there for a minute. when you were hanging out with some
I
people.
can do a twang anytime you
That
want.
was awesome.
I said, where did you pick that up from?
I can do that anytime.
Sway tying.
Yeah, I like that things move slower down here.
It is
not-
easier. I mean, we weren't exactly from New York City, but I mean, it's still a different pace no matter what state you live in. It's totally different down here.
It's a state of mind. It
Where
really is.
where were you from? Up
Rochester,
Wow,
south of
okay.
Rochester.
there? Okay, nice.
AKA Western New York.
We
or
dated
whatever.
in high school,
We did.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
and then
In secret.
yeah,
Oh,
It was
Gossip.
secret.
I was going to the prom with her with her best friend, and then
My
she,
best
she
friend
wouldn't
was
let
the
her be.
cheerleading
She wouldn't let me
captain.
date her, so we just dated secretly.
I don't know.
Sorry, Val, you
She
just heard
still,
that.
she still won't technically give up the reason why she wouldn't let us date. I told her, I'm like, is it just because you wanted to go to prom with him? Because like I was fine with not going
She
with
was
him.
just like my sister, I think.
Yeah,
She was like protective. Like
she
a
came to our
sister.
wedding. Her and her
wow.
husband. Yeah,
Yeah, they're really
they're
cool.
still really cool people.
That's
so.
fun.
It was a lot of fun.
so that's a good story.
So, tell me if you were to, what would you say that the Low Country or just even the community in general? It could be anywhere. Maybe probably in the Southeast. What kind of education do they need when it comes to the services that you offer? Where do you find that there's a pain point where you're like, oh man, I just wish the community were a little more educated on this?
So the main problem with specifically reverse mortgages in trying to educate people on them is there was a lot of really bad stuff that happened in the past with reverse mortgages. Back in the day, a lender didn't have to be licensed or have any education or any ethics or anything. They could just
Right.
do whatever they wanted. And one of the biggest things that happened with reverse mortgages is back in the day is insurance agents who sold annuities specifically would glom onto reverse mortgages and go into a family's house and say, hey, who needs money, right? They don't have a monthly income, Social Security's let them down, their 401k ran out, whatever, right? Their pension got bought out and they took the buyout. and then they frittered away all that money, so they have no money coming in.
Sure.
And so they go in and they say, hey, I've got this great product. It's a single premium annuity. Basically, you give me a bunch of money, and then for the rest of your life, we're going to give you month to month, you're going to get a stipend, get money.
Okay.
And they go, okay, great. And so they do that. They cash out the house. They take all the equity, put it in the reverse to a single premium annuity. Guy drops dead the next day. All the money's gone. So annuities have changed since then, that now if somebody drops dead, it has to be flipped over to a life insurance policy that people get paid out on, right? So a lot of things have been regulated to fix some of this stuff. But back in the day, people would just lose their house. Okay, they lose their source of income, and they lose their house because a somewhat unscrupulous person would go in and basically hose them. And that's the biggest hurdle that I have when talking to people about the reverse mortgage product is deprogramming them on all the bad things that they've heard about it. Because even today, the law changed in 2013. The program was completely rewritten to support. I mean, everything's on the borrower side now. All the support is for the borrower. All the protections are for the borrower. And in 2012 when it got rewritten, in 2013 when it was passed. So it's basically everything you've heard about it in the past is in the past, and you are protected. These are the things that happens now that protects you, and protects your family and protects your estate and does some interesting stuff.
Lending laws, right?
Yeah.
Just advancements in lending laws.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. And doing things that, the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is sadly being gutted right now. Those things were put in place to protect consumers and put rules like what was put in place for the reverse mortgage to make sure that things err on the side of this. It's not an earthquake, folks. It's the cat.
She just moved the stand. Nice.
She
just wanted to be involved somehow.
Wants some love, and she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Most thing is I just deprogram people. And then because of that, it takes a long time for people to come back around to, well, is this guy telling the truth? I mean, how am I different from those other people? Like, am I just trying to sell you a product?
Right.
And I guess in the grand scheme of things, sure, right? I mean, I guess, right? I get paid if you do one of these things,
sure.
right? But no, I'm here to help. If it's not the right program, it's not the right program. Brian, you asked earlier, it's like, what is this program just for people who are destitute, right? Or on their last ropes? And that's how the program was originally incepted. But to be honest with you, it's such a great, diverse product of what it can do now is anybody who's over 62 should talk to somebody about it to see if it might have a benefit to them. And it might not.
Might fit their lifestyle.
It might fit the
really
lifestyle.
well.
Might help them if they want to travel more or if they want to pull out a bunch of money and they want to invest it. They want to actually do some things. They want to pay for their kids' college.
Sure.
I've got a couple of people right now doing them that their kids went to college, racked up giant student loan debt. And so they're doing a reverse mortgage. They're going to pull out all this equity of the house to pay off the kids' student loans and then not have a monthly payment to pay the money back if they don't want to. So it really puts, it puts the owner in the driver's seat.
Puts the borrower in command.
Borrower in command, 100%. Versus a regular mortgage, which is, you guys have a mortgage on your house. Beautiful home, by the way.
Thank you.
Now, let's just say as an example, that you decide next month just not to make a mortgage payment. Is that going to end well for you?
Oh, no.
No. What if you decide to
It'll end next door over here in Courtney Bend.
Yeah,
maybe
there'll be somebody out front with a gavel at some point. But yeah, it lets them decide. You can still make mortgage payments with a reverse mortgage. You can still run it the way you want to run it. You can just decide not to. Matter of fact, it's kind of funny. Most people that do a reverse mortgage, I'm just going to make the payments. I'm going to make the payments like it's normal mortgage. I'm used to doing it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. And call me about 6 months later. It's almost to the minute. They call me. It's like, hey, remember when you told me that I don't have to make payments on this thing if I don't want to? Yes. It's like, well, I've been making payments. So, okay. It's like, but I can stop, right? Well, yeah, you don't have to make the monthly payment if you don't want to. Well, am I getting in trouble? Is anything going to happen to me? Like, no. I mean, you'll have a little bit more money in your pocket each month. That'll happen, but no, nothing's going to happen. It's like, that's the whole point. It's like, are you sure? Can you call the lender and verify? I'm like, Well, I could, or I could just put you on hold for a second, pretend I called them, and then call you back and tell you this is how the program's designed. Is you're in charge of your monthly bills, and if you want to make a $5 payment each month towards your reverse mortgage interest, sure, have at it. If you want to make a $10,000 payment, okay, you do whatever you want at that point. But you don't have to, and that's the biggest thing. It's just the deprogramming and the uneducating people. I mean, since we were 18, when you left your parents' house way, way, way back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. You've had a monthly payment towards your housing expense every month since then, more or less.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
If not two.
Exactly. If not two. And deprogramming people that it's okay not to have a housing payment is so hard, especially people
I would
who are
love it.
in the boomer generation who are slightly
It's like different.
You tell them, it's like, what do you mean I don't have to make a housing payment? You don't have to make a housing payment. Well, how does the bank make money? Who cares how the bank makes money?
Yeah.
We got to all let that go, because that's what has royally screwed this entire economy. Is we all care for some reason how and why the banks make money.
Yeah.
And we
banks
really
don't care
shouldn't.
about us.
We should care about how our mechanic makes money.
Yeah.
Right. Or how our schools make money, or how our teachers make money. We should care about those things. You should not care about the banks. Okay? Banks don't care about any one of us at all.
You're right. I'll tell you, I have an interesting story. This guy I met, he was a security guard for Freightliner up in Gaffney, South Carolina. His name was Art Pinson. And I said, how you doing, Art? I haven't seen you in a month. He's like, the wife died. I said, oh, that's horrible. I hate to hear that. He said, yep, we wrote our last mortgage payment. It was on the counter, and she didn't wake up that night. So it's horrible. I feel like it's almost like she's like, I paid my mortgage, just like what you were talking about. It fulfills herself, and it's. I know one thing, that there's a question that I think with our generation that has come up a lot, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, or I guess just lack of education. People just don't know what the best thing is to do, and that is, people have asked, is it advantageous for somebody to make a mortgage payment every other week?
So it depends on the lender, right? So some lenders don't allow you to do that. So first of all, and by lender, I mean your servicer. So, because the lender is the people who give you the money originally, and
whoever bought your loan,
and that's the servicing who's in charge of it. So if the servicer allows it, talk to them first, make sure they allow it. Legally, if you don't have a special arrangement set up with the servicer, they don't have to accept your additional payment. So they only have to accept one payment per month. And that's why on your mortgage, little stub, if you remember the paper stubs.
Do they still have those? They don't.
We do everything online.
They do. I've got a funny story about that too.
We have books. I think I threw them out.
You have to write on the line item additional money to principal. So if you just send, let's say your mortgage payment is $3,000 a month, and you decide this month to send them $5,000. But you just write the check for $5,000 and you just put total $5,000. What most lenders will do, because
apply it to your next payment.
They won't
put it towards the interest.
No, they won't.
They won't put it towards anything.
They put it into your escrow account.
Oh,
and then they give it back to you at the end of the year. They've used your money for a year and they give it back to you. They didn't put it towards principal, because they're not legally obligated to do so unless you write $2,000 on the additional principal line.
I remember my mom was such a stickler for that. She's like, if you're going to make an additional payment, you have got to fill this line out, because if you don't,
100%.
you might as well just throw it down the drain.
That's
because you might not
crazy.
see it. You might not.
And so the bank uses your money for a year. They invest it, make gobs of money off of it, and then they just give it back to you at the end of the year with no interest paid. So don't do that. Make sure you write it towards additional principal. So the answer to the question is, if you make, essentially it's one extra mortgage payment per year, which is kind of what you're asking. If you make a payment twice a month, every other week type of thing, you end up making 1 or 2 extra mortgage payments a year. That'll slice 7 years off a 30-year fixed mortgage, like that. 7 years off the time frame, 7 years off the interest. Absolutely. But there's a however, and the however is always, what is the rest of your money look like? What does the rest of your portfolio, your investments, your livelihood, your future look like? Because if, as an example, you're so focused on sending an extra $2,000 per month to lower your mortgage balance, what would that benefit? And you're 30 years old, because you want to have the mortgage paid off when you're 50. Well, what if you would send for 20 years $2,000 a month into an investment.
Yeah, into a 401k or an IRA.
IRA, a mutual fund, money market, whatever, something earning 7, 8, 9, 12, 14%, right?
Right.
What would that number look like? And so whenever I have somebody, and I'm not a financial
You've
planner,
done the math on this,
not a
haven't you?
financial advisor, correct?
Right.
I just am somebody who knows how math works.
Right.
It's also very surprising how many people don't understand how math works. It's absolutely astounding.
And simple math.
They
overthink it.
It's not complicated, right? And so whenever I have somebody ask me, it's like, well, hey, we're thinking of paying an extra $1,000 per month towards our mortgage. How much will that shorten it? And so I do the math because I have all these tools to do the math, show them the math. So you're going to swipe, you're going to throw 11 years off your mortgage by doing that. And then I say, however, this mortgage is at 6.25%. The average return on the S&P 500 over the life of the S&P 500 is over 9%.
Yes, 9.25.
Yeah. So if you take that $1,000 per month, every month, and put it into just a generic S&P 500 fund, that's it.
A real conservative account. Yeah.
Real conservative S&P 500 account, 9.25% over 84 years or something like that is how long the S&P 500 has been around. You're going to end up with so much more money. When you get to the finish line, you could take that money and pay off your house and still have boatloads of money. Whereas the other way around, you've just paid off your house. So what would you rather have, a house paid off and a big
An
bunch
extra,
of money?
yeah.
Or have just a paid off house?
Right.
And so, and that's when, you really need to just take a step back and think about your big picture. Which that's the other thing most people don't know. Most people don't have any idea, not even just the big picture, of their own specific financial picture, like what they earn. I cannot tell you how many people, and I work with people of all ages. I can do every mortgage on the product. I do a lot of reverses, but I can do everything. When I ask people, how much money do you make? 60% of the people have no idea how much money they make. What do you mean how much money I make? What do you make? What is, when you took the
what's
job?
your net sum gain?
Right. Remember what they wrote
when
for
they
your
said,
annual?
hey, we'd like to offer you this. What were the next words?
Yeah.
Oh, it was going to be, I'm going to be a Supreme Court justice. All right, great. What was the next words? Oh, it's $240,000 a year. Okay. You're making $240,000 a year and somehow you're racking up $300,000 a year worth of debt. How are you doing that? That's insane. Stop doing that. But yeah, it's amazing how many people, or you ask them to guess. It's like, well, just because I can do math, like what they could qualify for if they're honest with me. Tell me, what is your debt? What do your debts look like? What does your monthly payments look like? Just give me an idea, and I can kind of give you a general idea without doing an application or pulling your credit or that stuff. Just give me an idea of where you sit. Well, I don't know. You don't know. You have a car? Oh yeah, I have a car. We have 2 cars. Okay. Do you have a car loan? Yes, we have 2 car loans. Okay, are there car loans or car leases? Well, it's a monthly payment. Does that help? No, it doesn't help.
And they never know when it matures either.
in.
Like, well, when's your last payment? They're like, I don't know. I bought it in 18.
Yeah, it's insane. And so, then, okay, so we talk through it and kind of pull information out, and eventually we get an idea of what they look like, financially speaking, right? And then I have to literally turn around and educate them. Did you know this is what you earn? This is what you're putting into here. This is what your returns on this are. This is what this is. Like, oh my God, nobody's ever told me that. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, people aren't going to necessarily tell you because they don't have access to all your records, because you have access to all your records. Now go talk to Sage, like the financial planner in our group, right?
Yeah.
He'll
Go
pull all
talk to
your
him
records.
and you can give him all the stuff and he can pull it. Like, and
Yeah.
do all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just talking in generalities here. Get an idea of where you stand. Most people have no idea. I mean, so my wife, we moved out to Lowcountry 2 years ago. We live in Margaritaville.
Yeah.
Nice.
How do you like it there?
Love it, Margaritaville. It's so awesome. It's fantastic.
I don't think we know anybody that lives there except for Charles.
Well, you should
Never met anybody.
you should
We're
come.
not of age yet to live there, so
Well, but you can come visit.
You guys
We
have a
will come
restaurant,
visit.
don't you?
We have a restaurant. We have live music every day. We have live concerts Fridays and Saturdays out at the band shell.
they have
Year
waterfalls
round.
outside of
Do you have
their
a gate?
entrance.
We have a gate.
See-
It's not the highest quality gate on the planet, but
But there's
is.
water-
You can't
Waterfalls?
you just can't stroll in there though.
You can't just
No,
stroll
yeah.
in. Well, I mean, you could walk in.
I don't think there's
gate
there's
is
not many places you can just stroll in around here.
No, not really.
No, not with
The
the
island's
bigger
80%
communities.
behind gates.
Yeah.
That's why they only have 6 Beaver County sheriffs on the whole island, if they're lucky. If
Is
they're
that
lucky.
really? Only
6.
6? Wow.
3 on the north, 3 on the south. If
they
they're
aren't
lucky.
as prominent as they used to be. They just can't.
all the gated communities like Hilton Head Plantation and Shipyard, and their security officers are all deputized,
Oh, okay.
so they can take you to jail.
Oh,
They won't because they can't drive their cars out of their jurisdiction, which is the neighborhood. So
that's funny.
that really, yeah, they arrest somebody in Beaufort County who's got to act as a paddy wagon, which they don't like doing. It's an hour and a half trot from the island to the jail. So
Anywhere.
yeah, it's now, and you better hope you're on night shift. You're not doing it during the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know that so back to this, I know when this came about for us, it was, let's see, when did the interest rate reach about 2% or 2.125%?
You mean like when we refinanced?
Yeah, I think it was back in 21.
It was, no, it was
20 into 21.
It was 2020. It was right before we signed those papers, right before I got furloughed for COVID.
Oh,
I'm not
they
even
couldn't
kidding.
have
It was
come
like
at
the
a better
week
time.
before.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. And then it was like, okay, now you're not going to work for a year and a half.
So I called my brother Rick, and I said, "What do you think about? I got really lowered my mortgage payment. I'm thinking about making it every other week." And he's like, "That is the cheapest money you'll ever borrow in your entire life."
100%.
And he's like, "So for the next 30 years, you have the cheapest loan you're ever going to get." He's like, "Keep your money and pay him as little as possible." And that's what I did, and I think it worked out really well. I mean, we didn't struggle for a minute. So
Yeah, 100%. Well, and again, that's just, you have to understand the situation that you were in. I mean, that was great advice. I mean, heck, even 7%, 8% is still really
it's still cheap.
money.
It's better than 23% on your MasterCard.
100%, absolutely. I mean, somebody's going to give you $500,000 and ask that you pay it back over 30 years. It doesn't really matter what the interest rate is. That's cheap, free money. I mean, it's not free. It comes at a cost. Obviously, I know how math works. Please don't call it. But, in the end, if your money can be better spent or earning more money, if your money can earn money elsewhere, do that. Yeah, I talk to people all the time about, it's like, well, my interest rate's 7%. Like, okay, mortgage rate's 7%. What are you earning on your investments? You're earning 7%. Oh, okay. Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you buy your $600,000 home, put $300,000 down, so you have a $300,000 mortgage, keep the other $300,000 earning 7%, and now guess what? Your mortgage is 0% interest.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you end up ahead.
That's how math works. You just have to think big picture. And they're like, wait, does it work that way? I'm like, well, yeah, you're paying interest on $300,000 over here, and you're earning interest on $300,000 over here. And if it's 7 and 7, plus and minus on both sides, that's exactly how the math would work. And then they're like, well, okay, well, what if I put $200,000 down and a $400,000 mortgage? Because then I can keep the other $400,000 earning money for me. What does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you're getting the idea of how this actually works. My wife and I did a seminar. It's been maybe 15 years ago on investing, buying investment properties, and it was some guy who had a show on HGTV or DIY Network. So we knew him, and so he was kind of a celebrity. So I went to do this thing, and he talked for, it was like 3 days, and one of the days, somebody in the audience and of the people who paid to be there asked a question. Is like, how many of these houses? And he owns like 300 houses. And he goes, how many houses do you own outright? He goes, what do you mean? It's like, well, how many of these homes did you pay cash for? Oh, none. What do you mean none? It's like, you don't own all your houses? We have mortgages on every property.
Yeah, most big real estate tycoons, I don't think they've ever played it. They lay as little money on the table as they can.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
They're quantity. They're like, let's keep buying more. As much as they'll lever, the bank will give me.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and that's what he said. It's like, well, let's look at this way. Let's say I have $300,000. I could buy one $300,000 house with cash, or I can buy 6 and put $50,000 down on each one, and now I own 6 houses appreciating instead of just one. What do you think puts me farther ahead in the long run? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, most of the people in the audience couldn't do the math. Of course, I immediately figured it out. It's like, well, yeah, 6 is definitely more than 1. So, but yeah, it's to your point. It's like you have 2% mortgage. That's free money. Don't pay any extra to it. I mean, if you have extra money, sure, why not? Okay, I guess, right? But if you could take that extra $1,000 a month, you might sink to pay off your mortgage by the time you're 52 because you want to have that done. That's great. Put it where it's earning 9%, and when you turn 52. Pull this giant bunch of money that's earning 9% for 30 years for you and pay off your house then. and you still have all this extra money over there.
And I really felt like when I went to ask Rick, I stood back and I was like, why did I ask him that? Because I should have been able to come up with that. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
I swear, you question yourself.
I think
when
the
you're
reason
talking
not
to
is because
one of
I've
the
always
smartest
had
people
0%
ever,
credit cards, so I don't look at credit card like some people look at credit cards.
Right.
They can't get 0%, so they're paying. If they don't pay their bill in full, they're paying 23. I don't know what's usury right now.
What's my what?
Usury? What's the usury
20,
percent? Is it 27.5%?
Oh, for
credit card
cards?
usury?
Oh, there's some cards that are up to 35% right
You're
now.
kidding me.
No.
Is that just because you were talking earlier about the 10-year bonds, the 10-year treasury? There's a lot of people that hear that, especially on the news right now, and they hear it from maybe financial people, but there's a lot of people that don't understand what that is.
Right.
Can you explain to the people what that is?
So, so a bond is an investment vehicle, usually sold by an entity or a government. In the case of the 10-year Treasury bond from the government, which is what the 30-year fixed mortgage rate is loosely tied to, so that's why it came up today. That is basically you're buying a guaranteed interest from the government over that term. So see, now we're going to get slightly into politics here, so I apologize in advance. But this is all very much tied together.
We're unscripted.
There's a lot of talk about the trade deficit, right? And the trade deficit. And there's, a matter of fact, I was talking to Jorge about trade deficit a while back because he mentioned something to me. And I said, I'm going to explain the trade deficit to you very easily, and you're going to get it, and you're going to finally understand what you've been misled to about your entire life. He goes, okay, this is going to be good. Like, you ever buy anything at Starbucks? He goes, yeah, I go to Starbucks all the time. All right. Oh, that's interesting. Now, you run a flooring company. By the way, Jorge is fantastic.
Oh, he is.
Flooring company.
We love Jorge.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes, we do.
So good. So good. Anyway, have you ever sold any flooring to a Starbucks? He goes, what? It's like, have you ever finished the floors on a Starbucks? He goes, no. Oh, you run a trade deficit with Starbucks then.
That's a true story.
You have never gotten anything from them.
Yeah.
You've only given to them. That is the definition of a trade deficit. So when we talk about...
That is a brilliant way to put it.
Isn't it great?
It is.
It's so easy. And everybody's like...
Everybody gets it now.
And then they're like, well, no, that's not it. I'm like, no, it is exactly it.
Yeah.
So then we talk about, okay, now we're going to talk about bonds. We'll cycle back to that. So what's a bond? So let's say a government like, say, I don't know, I'm just going to randomly pick one. Japan, who they are the largest investor in the United States, Japan. They own the most treasury bonds of investor in the United States is Japan. So Japan has given us, I don't know the exact number, say $5 trillion. It's probably something like that, giant number of money. So they gave us $5 trillion. So now we have this giant satchel full of $5 trillion. And for the benefit of using that $5 trillion, we're going to pay them back 5% every year. So we have $5 trillion, and we're paying them back $250 million, which is a big number, 2.5 billion. I can't, probably 2.5 billion, right?
Yeah.
Every year, which 2.5 billion is a big number. I'm not going to argue with that. That's a giant number, right? However, we still have their $5 trillion
Right.
that we've invested ourselves in our economy or our infrastructure or whatever. So when people freak out of how big the trade deficit is, and they don't quite understand what it means, what it means is all these other countries believe so much in our country that they're just going to shovel their money to us. And for the benefit of us having their large satchels of cash, we're going to just pay them interest on it every year. And if you look at the budget, the such that it is, there is a big pie chart and it says how much we're paying out in interest per year, and people freak out. It's like, well, we could be using that money for something else, which is 100% true, right? Absolutely. Sure. Just like you have a mortgage, right? Yep. You have a $300,000 mortgage and you're paying 2% on that. If you weren't paying that 2% interest, if it was 0% interest, you'd have that extra money, right? So you're paying out for the benefit of using the money. It's a number. 2% is low number. Any other number is bigger number, right? But and so there it is. But if we didn't have that money going out to pay that interest, we'd have to give the $35 trillion back.
Yeah.
To the companies, to the countries that have invested in it. And so one of the things that people ask about or comes up all the time in political conversations is, well, what if China calls us and says they want their money back? It's like, well, It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah.
First of all, because if they buy, say, I'm just going to use an example here because we're talking about a 10-year treasury bond. Let's say they buy a 10-year treasury bond from us and they give us $1 trillion and invest in the 10-year treasury bond. They don't get their money back for 10 years. That's how, because see, it's a 10-year bond. So they don't get their money back for 10 years. Now, if they call us in 5 years and say, hey, we want our money back, well, they're going to take a huge penalty.
Right.
And who does the penalty help? Does it help us or does it help them?
Us.
Right, it helps us.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to get a giant penalty. And so we're going to keep $1 trillion of their money to pay the rest back. Or I don't know what it is, but some giant number. If I was running the government like I was running Capital One, I also don't run Capital One, I would charge them an excessive fee to have them get out of it early. Right.
Yep.
So if they did that, they would causing themselves long-term financial distress because they'd give up $1 trillion out of $5 trillion or whatever the number is. So they're never going to happen. China's never going to call us and say, hey, we want our money back.
Right.
Japan's never going to call us and say, hey, we want our money back. Now, what can happen, and this is a bigger financial picture concern right now, is the dollar has been falling lately in value somewhat dramatically. And the reason for that is, again, getting back to Japan, is Japan has threatened to pull all their investments out of the United States and buy the euro. Which would make, by default, the euro the currency of the world trade. And the only thing that's kept our country so far ahead of the rest of the modernized world is the fact that our currency is the default currency for trade worldwide. There's a lot of misinformation about, say, the Iraq War. The Iraq War, which you remember was fought way back when about this, that, or the other, right? The Iraq War, one of the biggest conspiracy theories about it, which isn't really a conspiracy theory, is they were going to move to the euro for all their trading of all their oil, which the concern was, from the United States' point of view, was going to cause a cascade of all oil be trading in the euros, which would have been a real problem.
Yeah.
And then we had a war, and then the person who was in charge of making that decision ended up in a spider hole and then was hung. I don't know if you remember part of that story.
Yeah, Saddam Hussein.
Yeah, that's that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
found
then
in a hole in the ground.
Yeah, and suddenly all the talk of moving their currency trade to the euro went away.
Yep.
So if Japan ended up doing that, it would be a problem. It would be a problem because it would cause our value of a dollar to drop tremendously, which would cost us consumers significantly more money. And it would be a huge cascade effect. Anyway, getting back to where we started with the 10-year treasury bond, is the government doesn't just sell only 10-year treasury bonds. They say 1 year, 5 year, 3 year, 4 year. They have up to 30-year bonds, and they all have different interest rates. And so one of the most unique things, if you do want to watch to see how the economy is doing, is look at the bonds around the 10-year bond, specifically the 5-year and the 30-year bond, and see when they become inverted. So if the 30-year bond has a higher interest rate than the 10-year bond, or maybe it's the other way around. It's one of the, I can't remember off the top of my head which way it is, but they become inverted. The bond should be, there's more risk going one way and less risk going to the other way, right? So if they become inverted, it becomes a real problem for the economy, because the economy, that means the people who run the economy don't know what's going on. And so every once in a while, you'll hear on the news that the 10-year treasury bond has gotten inverted against the 5-year bond.
Yep.
And what that means is they're not priced correctly. And that's a huge, the uncertainty that causes in the economy is a real problem. Anyway.
And I think Charles,
so much knowledge.
he's, oh my gosh. I
like
remember
that brain.
Charles was my second one-to-one. My first one was with Kent.
I remember you told me
and
Charles is really
I'm
cool.
like, that was so cool. I was like, and so I think I'm glad you went that way, because I think Charles, he's got you have an interesting position in the home buying process, because people can, let's go out and take a look at houses. But when they sit down with Charles, they're about to make one of the largest decisions that they might make 3 to 5 times in their life.
100%.
And so you have to be able to trust him.
Yep.
And what with that, what do you say that there's a lot of people out there right now, and it's nice not to ask a realtor something like this, but people who are really concerned about mainly the buyer's market out there.
Right.
What is your advice for them? Or not that you're a financial advisor, but if the way things are, everything's a cyclical pattern. I mean, I remember I was part of the house. Wells Fargo let me borrow money back in 2005, and they shouldn't have given me a piece of pocket lint. So,
Was that right before everything
that was my
started?
That was the one foreclosure I
the
had.
housing market just
In 08.
Didn't they make that? They made that movie that
Big
I watched.
Short.
Oh my
The Big
gosh,
Short.
I watched that
It's a
movie.
great
It was
movie.
like
Such a great short. Yeah, and the music that goes with it is so good.
it was really good. It's a very good movie.
With these buyers out there, what can I mean, I know that saying anything negative would be like, well, kind of. But what is your advice to people that ask you that?
So, big picture wise, I tell people that they're not making more land. Real estate's always a good investment because they're not making more land.
Right.
Especially in this area.
Well, there's
Gosh,
I
no.
mean, the only place I know they're making land right now is, around a volcano in Hawaii, right? That's the only place there's more land
Smart.
actually showing
Yeah,
up.
because it's active.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They may be clearing land to make room for more houses. That's accurate, but that's not making more land. So real estate's always a good investment. It has always gone up. It'll always go up. Now, are there times when it drops? Absolutely. So, a lot of people say don't treat your home as an investment, which I kind of disagree with that mentality a little bit because, but also not. It's kind of an odd scenario for me because you have to live somewhere, right?
Yep.
I mean, and if you have to, and if you are in a position to be able to make the choice how to live, like am I going to rent or am I going to buy a big house or am I going to buy a small house? Am I going to live in a RV or am I going to live in a
shoe?
A shoe, right? Yeah. If you have that choice, it's always better to invest in yourself. And if you do a regular mortgage, every month you make that mortgage payment, a small amount that gets bigger over time,
Right.
goes to your pocket, goes towards principal, which lowers the loan balance, right? So my advice is, if you like the house, buy the house. If you want to live somewhere, buy the house, move there. Right? Just do it. Well, it's a bad market. Who says it's a bad market? Did you find the house you like? Yeah.
Have you gone out and checked the rental rates?
Yeah.
Well, right. Ooh. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And do you want, I talk to a lot of people who want to move down here and they want to get a feel for it. Okay, well, that's it. That's fine. Yeah. But they're like, well, I want to sign a 2-year lease. Why do you want to sign a 2-year lease? To get a feel for the area.
That's not a feel for it.
Sign us. That's a non-committal. That's, go sign a 6-month lease. And then go month to month after that, and feel it out at that point. But real estate never stays down. The only time real estate being down is a problem is if you have to sell during that time. But if you don't have to sell, who cares?
If you have to sell, that's
Just let it ride. I've got properties that I bought and have gone way up and then came back down a little bit and gone back up again.
I think we would have loved to have sold a year ago, but where were we going to go?
Well, right. Yeah.
So many people were like, "Oh, this location is so perfect because you're on a street that's almost
We're
built
selling
out."
a house for retail. Now I got to go buy one for
And
retail.
I'm like, "But
100%.
where are we going to
Yeah.
live?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to look for another house.
Yeah.
And this is good where we're at."
Well, the only way to win that game, right, is to move somewhere other people don't.
Right.
But you
That would be our next step.
We were going to get
yeah,
out.
that was
We're
the
in
plan.
10
We were like,
acres.
we're just not going to live around people anymore.
go up into the hills, and even that's not really.
Problem is I don't miss living 40 minutes from the grocery store like I used to, like when I lived down the Finger Lakes.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a nice little drive every time we had to
Canada was
go.
40 minutes away.
So that's what I tell people. It's like, well, what are your goals? Well, we'd like to live in the area. Okay, well then live in the area. Well, we want to wait for prices to come down. Like, well, okay, well if prices come down, that means eventually interest rates are going to come down because that's how recessions and depressions work. They are parallel.
And you can refinance.
And then once the prices come down and interest rates come down, as soon as interest rates come down, now prices are going to skyrocket because all these people have been waiting on the sidelines to get rates into the 4s are going to be out. And so now your house that dropped in value by $50,000 is now $100,000 over where it dropped to. So you're going to be paying more and you don't have the house you want. Buy the house you want. Refinance later.
Yeah.
Make it work. I mean, that's
what we did.
That's what we did.
Yeah.
We got this house for a steal.
Yeah.
We weren't really looking, and we ran across the house over there, and
Well, we were discouraged.
We
'cause
put
we
an
weren't
offer in on the
finding-
same day, and they took theirs was cash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then
And
they ended up selling it anyway, like a year and a half after.
Yeah, and then our realtor brought us over here, and this one was on the water, and we're like,
This
oh,
is the
this is
same
way better,
house.
same price.
Same house, just a different front of the house.
Yeah, and
other one
we
is brick.
closed. We closed 4 days before the people with the cash offer.
Nice.
That's how I was.
Victory
I was
is
so
yours.
happy about that. Let me tell you. So I know a lot of people are really nervous about People are nervous about spending money right now in general. I mean, I'd love to go buy a car. I'd love to go buy an electric car.
I'd like to just have a car that, isn't old at this point, but I like us not having car payments.
Oh, yeah. We haven't had car payments in a while.
It's been a long time.
It's nice.
I mean, I hit a deer the last time that I had a car. And the car,
She
actually,
hit a
the
deer,
deer
and
hit
30
me.
seconds later, I blew a serpentine belt on my Peterbilt. It was a bad day for both of us.
That's not good.
Yeah.
It's $1,700.
The deer,
bill for that.
it was the deer's fault, though. It wasn't mine. He ran out past Hargray.
That's why they
On the
have
island.
In broad
They
daylight.
have the crosswalks right there. I mean, they
No,
could.
he
They even put a
literally
sign
came
up
out
for
of
him.
nowhere. It's like he paid his bill at Hargray and bounded across 278 and just hit me like head on. I was like, what is happening? I'm lucky I didn't actually go through the windshield. He was
Hey,
pretty
Charles, you've heard what's
substantial.
going on in your backyard, The meeting. When was that
yeah.
meeting? Was it Monday or was
It
it?
was exit 3.
Exit 3?
I know some of it.
I've seen the development. It's a 5-stage development plan.
Oh, so you're talking about the business park and the warehouse district expansion and business extension, or are you talking about the new stuff down by Coastal Carolina, which is like 5,000 units of housing and shopping and entertainment district? Or are
I'm
you
talking about
both?
down by the what is that? The Riverport
Okay,
Business Park.
the new port parks, yeah. I've heard some of that
It's
stuff.
going to be building like $750,000 or $750,000 homes.
Yeah.
750,000 homes.
It's going to be absolutely insane, and they're building a lot of rental stuff now. And like just to the west of Margaritaville, there's a big property that was bought by, I think
Costco?
No, D.R. Horton, bought by D.R. Horton.
You are dying for a Costco.
Oh,
I
there-
love Costco.
There's one coming.
I know.
think
It's
so?
just,
Oh no, it's been signed. Yeah, it's.
Where
it's
is
over-
it going
it's-
to? Where do you think it's going to be?
It's going to
right
be
outside of your place.
It's going to be
probably.
north of Buc-ee's.
fabulous.
Off
On
of
17.
off exit 8. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Wayne should have hung on to that piece of property up there.
Yeah.
Tortellini.
Yeah, they have to wait for the bridge over 95 reconstruction to happen first. They're not Buc-ee's or.
Oh,
Costco.
the exit 8 the redesign.
Yeah, with the
That needs to happen.
the diverging diamond.
Diverging
The
diamond.
best,
It is.
the best name in all of highway
Diverging
design.
diamond.
All
Diverging
Wow.
of civil engineering. Like that's what my uncle did. He was the head of
Dick?
the mission. No, Uncle Tom.
Oh, Uncle Tom.
Yeah, he was the head of the Department of Transportation for
Nice.
the state of Michigan.
I don't know why I said Uncle Dick. He was the architect.
Yeah, and that you're right. That design, even the chicanes that I call
Yeah.
them the chicanes.
Yep.
They really do keep traffic moving. And I mean, think about down there in what is that? Port
Georgia?
Wentworth.
Yeah,
first
Port
exit.
Wentworth. Yep, that's the closest one. Yeah.
Go try to come from Springfield to 95 at 7:00 in the morning. It'll take you an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well,
Stop and go.
We really need to readdress Hilton Head, but they just keep pushing it off.
I think they're building a new bridge.
Yeah, no, it got approved.
Oh,
Yeah.
The
yes.
design got approved. There's no
gonna-
funding. For
There's
it.
no funding
Yeah, it's
for
gonna
it,
be
so
10
it's just
years.
going to hang there. And
can-
eventually that bridge, I feel it every day when I drive over it. I'm like, I don't want to stop because I feel like it's going to waver.
So the port has a 10-year expansion project for 4 more berths, and I used to work there. That's a lot. I mean, that's gonna bring a lot of people here.
Yeah.
And there's a few roads that need to be fixed. This Argent, apparently they can't widen it. It needs to be. Every Friday. Fridays are the worst days because of Marine graduation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, every Friday.
Or
Thursdays
well,
and
so
Fridays.
they're building a new interchange off of what is it? Exit 12, 11, 12, 13, somewhere in there. There's going to be a new interchange because Lennar, as part of their expansion of Hilton Head Lakes, north of Hilton Head Lakes, got that approved. So there's going to be a new interchange off of 95. I think it's at 11 or 12. I can't remember. But
Lennar owns all the way to that
to
3 miles that way.
to like the North Pole. Yeah, they own a lot of land up there.
And they weren't planning on just expanding Hilton Head Lakes, were they? I think
it's rebrand. I think they're rebranding. So I think Hilton Head Lakes as a community is done, but I think there's.
They
So
are.
if you go on, well, it's known as Latitude Boulevard on the south side. I can't remember the name on the north side, but if you go north on Hilton Head Lakes and you go through Turn Circle 1 and Turn Circle 2, if you and you would go right to go back into the golf club, right, to the clubhouse.
Yeah, that's
And
right in
it's-
my backyard, actually, right
yeah,
there.
instead, if you go straight, that's all been cleared now. And so, and if you go to the right, and then after about like 2 blocks down, you look to the left, that whole area has all been cleared out. And that's all a giant brand new neighborhood that they're all working on the infrastructure for now.
I have in my mind imagined this place in 10 years, and it is not going to look anything like it does now.
No, it
I
won't.
mean, it's going to be it's going to be so different.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I'm prepared for it.
No one is.
Yeah.
We can't be.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to do.
Island's too small.
I don't know if the area is prepared
The
yet.
area is not prepared.
The
The water
roadways and
supply is not
such.
The water,
prepared.
well, the Beaufort Jasper County Sewer Water
Authority.
whatever,
All those net
all
letters.
those letters. They're working on a bunch of expansion for that, so they know
I hope
they've
so.
got. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny if you drive down. Where was I driving back from? I think I was driving back from Beaufort. And I was looking on my Google Maps, and there was a line that said BJWSA Canal. I'm like, ooh, and I follow all the way down. It goes all the way down the Savannah River. That's where all our water
it
comes
does.
from, and they're expanding it. That thing's all getting expanded, and they're building into a couple more water treatment plants along the path there. But that is that's a huge undertaking. To your point, is they've got a lot of work to do. Anyway, getting back to my Lennar, that exit 12 is to fix Argent, which you can't. Is what you can do is take the cutoff that goes to 95 and expand that to connect up to that new ramp. Do a lot of, because there's a lot of property back there that's still swampish and or tree property where they're growing trees for the mills.
It's time for an exit between. I mean, there's 18 and 22, but there's nothing there. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to go left and go up 17. But other than that, you've got exit 8, and you might as well. The next thing is 33, and
Yep.
that's your Beaufort Charleston, and that's a hike.
That's a journey.
It's a hike even from here.
Might not seem like it, but
It is.
It's a hike.
Driving back from New York, I was like,
I went to
oh,
Early
that's the
Branch
Beaufort
yesterday, and it
exit.
took me an
No.
hour and 20 minutes to get to Early
It
Branch.
is. It's a long.
That's when
wow.
it starts to slow down. You may be at freeway speeds until you hit that, and then once
Yep.
you hit it, it's a whoo.
Yep. Yeah. And our roads are. I mean, they're starting to fix them. When I was a truck driver, 95. So 95 in South Carolina is bar none. The worst. The right lane of 95 in South Carolina is the worst.
Oh, it's horrible.
road in the country.
Wow.
It's horrible.
I so many times wanted to send them every bill I had for a new front end and those things. Yeah. So, well, Charles, we got to keep doing this.
Love to.
Yeah.
Yes, they're awesome.
It really is a lot of fun, and I'm hoping. My hope is I know Gina was talking earlier that some people are a little apprehensive.
just
and
from
it's
being
like,
on camera, and I'm like, you just forget that you're even.
I don't even
there.
remember the things really there. So if I'm not looking at you at home, that's why. I mean, I don't really think it's there. It's just a stick, and it's always. And the other thing too is it's always here. It never moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of part of my thing. But we really loved having you on, and we're definitely having you on again. This is
I feel
it's awesome.
more educated
I
than
know. I
like,
left
I have
here a
in
much
many
smarter
years.
man than I came in this room. I know that for a fact.
Wow, somebody gave me something to think about. Cool.
Charles, how can people get in touch with you? What is the best ways?
So best way, just give me a call, 303-870-6165. That's my direct personal cell phone. It's right here. I have it turned off so it didn't bother me during the podcast.
We appreciate
Other
it.
than that, it's always on. Approved by Charles at gmail.com for email address, or www.approvedbycharles.com. Just redid my website, so
Amazing.
it's a little bit cleaner now. So yeah, feel free to reach out. If you have any questions, happy to help however I can. Love to be a resource for everyone.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Well, definitely reach out to him, because one thing I can say, I've never used Charles' services, but I know a lot of people who have, and every one of them keeps going back, sending their family, sending their friends. So we wanted to have him on here to make sure we let you guys know that this is the man. And like you said, number 2, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Number 2.
crazy.
That is.
And you've been here how long? Just
A little over 2 years.
2 years. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's an incredible thing. And I'm sure your background and you have a very diverse background, and that probably really helps you here.
Well, I mean, and the best thing is I'm not a one-trick pony. I'm not just talking about how to sell somebody a mortgage. I'm like trying to talk to them about their life.
Yeah.
And when I mean, you guys know this. I mean, for what you're doing at Coastal Solutions and all this stuff, and all the AI stuff, and all the mapping stuff, and all the finding the lost dog
Just
stuff.
all the stuff.
All the stuff is about having things that you can just talk to people about.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the more you can talk to somebody about, the more you come off as a trustworthy person, because you know stuff. And I don't have to sit here and sell mortgages to everybody to have a good life. I can be a resource to just answer people's questions, just like you guys.
He's
and
awesome.
and this resource here of the podcast is much needed down here.
And you're the epitome of what we wanted on here. I mean, just
Yeah.
people that are going to
That know what they're talking about
put,
put a good feeling towards things that people are uncertain about.
Yeah.
Because this is like the age
It's so
of
hard
uncertainty
these days
right
to
now.
qualify somebody as an expert by yourself. It's nearly impossible. It's just, it takes, I think it really takes the community to engage. Like, there's a face, there's a name. And you know what?
Highly
what I've
recommend.
heard's right. And that's what I've just found it's worked for me.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I mean, nobody knew who I was until I got on TV when I was a kid. And then everybody knew who I was. So it's just like, and so that's what we wanted to do that. We wanted to provide to these people. And you're new. We're new to Hardyville, but I mean, everybody here is doing something. And a lot of people are doing a lot. And that's what we have here in you. I mean, you're not doing the bare minimum at number 2, and you're a one-man wrecking show.
Just me, man.
Yeah.
We loved having you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Next time,
Appreciate
bring the wife.
All right.
Do you have
well,
kids?
Yeah, we do have 2 kids. They're both back in Colorado. 26-year-old daughter, 24-year-old son. My daughter's a data analyst with Comcast and wicked smart. She calls and talks to me about programming languages. I went and visited her a while back, and she had this book for this programming language sitting on her desk. And I'm like, what's this? And it was a 4D spatial mapping programming language to develop worlds within Minecraft that she was interested in building.
Oh my
And she
God.
picked up the book and started creating worlds like that. And
I've done it. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to even just for me to control the mouse.
Yeah, she's crazy. And then my son is works for the Treasury Management Department at U.S. Bank. Super smart dude. Great
Gee, I
kids.
wonder where he gets it from.
Yeah.
I don't know.
and in banking, well, how old are your kids?
26 and 24. Daughter's 26. Son's 24.
Good age. And
Good
I'm sure
age.
they've got great heads on their shoulders because they had a great upbringing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did all I can. They made it with all 10 fingers and all 10 toes.
You
so.
did it.
Hey, yeah, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that don't.
That's very
I
true.
was close to some limbs being lost, but next time we'd bring your wife with you.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah, love to.
Yeah, we'll make it. We'll make it soon. So, all right, Low Country. With that, I'm looking forward for Charles to be on the show
gonna
next.
have a
So
good
we
time.
are. I know Low Country, you are too. So, with that, Gina, anything you would like?
Charles, thank you so much for being here. I feel so much smarter now.
I know. I can't wait to
Everyone
do
will
it.
feel
I can't
smarter
wait.
after
I
this
can't wait to
episode.
do it again. I
Absolutely.
really can't. Yeah.
But y'all take care.
You too.
All right.